Emma and I had always believed that our love would endure after 20 years of marriage, but then something happened that caused me to doubt that belief. As the years went by, I developed the habit of commemorating our anniversary in important yet uncomplicated ways, and I couldn't help but wonder if it was all a coincidence. Occasionally going on small adventures, usually accompanied by a bouquet of her favorite flowers. Even though I wasn't wealthy, I never thought twice about spending what I could to make Emma happy. She would frequently chastise me for going over, budget, and remind me that material presents didn't express how much she loved me, but I knew deep down that she valued the work I put into everything. As our 20th anniversary drew near, I was determined to make it unforgettable. I recalled how she had always wanted to take a riverboat cruise, and suddenly an idea struck me that would take a significant amount of money and work, but I was prepared to make it happen. In order to make this surprise a reality, I immersed myself into my job and stayed late into the evening. Emma, on the other hand, was not pleased with my sudden workaholic behavior and didn't understand why I was concentrating so much on this one project. But it was worth every late night to see her face light up with joy when she saw the surprise. Ben said in a voice that was a mixture of worry and frustration, "You don't have to push yourself like this. Is it really worth losing time with your family? I spend so many nights alone while you're stuck at the office, and Alex is out with his friends." Our son Alex is now in college, and training to be a lifeguard was a good kid. Still, we hadn't developed a strong father-son bond. These days I was proud of him, though we didn't always agree. I thought that one day he'd understand the pressure of providing for a family. For our anniversary, I gave Emma the cruise she had always dreamed of, along with a beautiful bouquet, and she was moved, but I could tell the expense was weighing on her. "I truly appreciate everything you've done to celebrate us," Ben said in a gentle voice. "You're doing all of this to make me happy, and that means everything to me. We can't forget about our financial responsibilities like the loan we're paying off and helping Alex get his driver's license. It doesn't feel right to go on this trip without him." I gave it some thought before answering, but Alex is away at school, and he can't come. So maybe we should give the trip to the Williams family, who were at our wedding and have been friends since college. It wasn't the ideal solution, but I knew she was right. There were more important things, and even though the cruise was a dream I wanted to share with her, I couldn't lose sight of the larger picture. Emma and I had married shortly after graduation, beginning our lives together in a small dorm room. Brian and I had also started working at the same company and even shared a floor. Over the years, both families moved into separate apartments nearby, making it easy to visit and maintain a close bond. However, things started to change in the late 1990s when Brian boldly decided to leave his steady job and start his own business. At first, I thought it was a reckless move, but to my surprise, he proved me wrong and created something amazing. Years later, he suggested that we take a river cruise to get away from the routine of corporate life. It sounded like a great idea, which is why, late May, we were on a cruise ship enjoying 3 lavish meals a day, scenic excursions, and non-stop entertainment. Thanks to Brian's steady stream of alcohol and Aeon's charisma as a gifted entertainer, who kept the passengers entertained, the days seemed to blend together with lots of laughter. Emma in particular seemed utterly enthralled with Aeon and couldn't stop talking about his charisma and stage presence, and I had to admit that his talent was undeniable. However, things took a strange turn in the days leading up to the cruises, and that evening when Emma ended up completely intoxicated, displaying a side of herself I had never seen before. Her slurred speech and antics felt so out of character that I was embarrassed and at a loss for words. Brian snarled in obvious frustration. "This is unacceptable, Ben. Take care of it." But before I could take any action, the evening got out of hand. At one point, Emma vanished. Panic set in. The thought of her stumbling off the deck or causing a scene sent me searching frantically. When I finally found her, the scene was both shocking and surreal. Aeon was in a nearby stat room, not with Emma, in an intimate moment, But standing awkwardly beside her, she was slumped, disheveled, and clearly sick from drinking too much. I made her drink mineral water. Aeon explained his usual charm, replaced by a somber expression, but it didn't help. I had to bring her here to recover. Before things got worse, he left soon after returning to his duties, leaving me alone with my wife and an overwhelming sense of humiliation. What were you thinking? I demanded, my frustration spilling over. You've embarrassed me in front of everyone, including Brian. Her response, however, cut deeper than I could have imagined. I've been ashamed of you my entire life. She shot back, her words slurred, but hitting with precision. You've never been able to provide to satisfy me, to be the man I needed. And anyway, Alex is Brian's son. Her words hit me like a thunderclap. Suddenly, memories that I had brushed aside over the years came rushing back with painful clarity. The empty champagne bottles, the 2 glasses, even though I hadn't given it much thought when I stopped by yesterday, but you weren't home. Brian had casually mentioned that Emma was in a great mood. She got me drunk, fed me, and put me to bed. The strange flowers on the table and the subtle but distinct scent of cologne that wasn't mine, it all clicked. As I stood there, I felt like my world was unraveling, and every suspicion and odd event suddenly made perfect sense. When Emma came home from the trip, she claimed she couldn't recall what had happened that night. I questioned her, my voice heavy with years of unsaid misgivings, and her confession was direct and unapologetic. What had once been a passing idea about Alex and Brian's resemblance now felt indisputable. Brian had no intention of leaving. Victoria claimed that although he wasn't happy that Alex was his, he did assist when he could. A month and a half later, I moved out of the flat and into my mother's house, since life has a way of dealing with justice. When Alex used drugs and received a lengthy prison sentence, Emma's world fell apart. She was unable to cope with the heartbreak, and soon after, it consumed her entirely. At her funeral, only Brian and I stood by her grave. The irony was bitter, but I couldn't help but make one last comment. Ben, let's set sail for Mississippi. I'll let my son manage the company for a while so he can get his bearings. Brian said, "Thank you, brother," in a tone full of hurt and sarcasm for all the joy you gave into my life.